Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios. I'm your StockMiner Brian Johnson. And we did move down today. So markets are down. However, you guys already know what I'm going to say, don't you? Yeah, I'm still neutral to bullish. There's looking at the chart here, there's nothing to be panicked about. I mean, we do see some nice movement right here. Look, we get this nice movement back below the blue line in the Dow, back up to hold it as resistance, and once again we run away from it. Now, I did mention in this, as well as some of the other indices, that I felt that if we got back above this blue line, it would be short-lived before we'd see it again or get below it or test it or whatever. The Dow, of course, being the slower of the three indices, is taking its time. However, this just looks like one big giant pullback until we break these other levels. If you look at it on a daily, pretty clean. Look, we got a couple of days hanging up here. First red day down, but really, so far, nothing broken at all from the bull side. Still straight up move below this 11,200-ish area. Okay, now maybe we got something to discuss. But really, this is just a pullback. Looking still very structured for the bull side. And still well within reach of one little push up here. Back and above this 11,450 area, which is what we're still going to continue to watch going forward, no question. And then back below the 20-day, which of course has been and maybe will continue to be very strong support. We'll see if that gets broken here in the next couple days. So as we've seen so far, though, we've seen a couple of days and no major selling whatsoever pouring into the markets at all. Even the move we saw today was, it was decent for the most part. Right at the end of the day, though, took a bounce and came right back up. So it still looks like a very structured move from a bull standpoint. So lots of reason to think that we still could sneak a little bit higher. You want to wait for these lower levels to be broke before you start getting in on this at all. NASDAQ did come to the side. You can see how we moved sideways for many days in a row. Looking to see if this thing might find some support and kind of bounce upwards today. Did not do that. Came back to retest this blue line, but once again holding the 50 and this blue line very well. So let's see if it acts as a springboard yet once again for the NASDAQ in the next push up. Yeah, we can look at this as a bearish engulfing pattern. Ooh, but you know what? Until I get confirmation, I don't care. Really, I really don't. We've seen all kinds of potential reversal candles on the way back up here, and none of them have been valid. So we will see if this one plays out, and we just got to wait for that break. Back below that 2140 is really where I'd get a little bit more comfortable on not only a pullback in the NASDAQ, but maybe a pullback overall from the other indices. That would be a more major sign for me to see it back below this area here. That might lead to obviously some more selling in the other indices as well if we can get back below these levels. From a weekly, we're into Tuesday, but you can see that we're not going anywhere so far. Here's the SPX on a 60-minute and the pullback we saw today, coming back to right around the 50-day or 50-period moving average here, not even back to this blue line as of yet. So we've spent a couple of good days up here wandering sideways. This could very well just have been an A, B, C type of correction look here. That would make a very nice four-wave if you compare it with what we just saw here. And that might give us the springboard for the next push up. This is why we're going to watch these levels, watching below 1200 and or above that 1228, 1230 area. From a daily too, this was a little bigger candle than I'm sure the bulls would have liked to have seen. I was very curious to see if we would break or hold this 1220 area. Now we broke it and we did not hold it. That's the curious part. Now if we do get some sort of a bounce tomorrow, this is where I would be looking for your first level of overhead resistance, right at 1220. It's got to get back above that. Maybe some news tomorrow gaps it up and just puts it back above 1220. Don't know yet. But watch these levels right here. So now that we've closed at 1213, we want to watch the next level, which would be right around, I'm going to say 1210, 1208, and then back down around 1200, and then here we go with about every 5 to 10 points below it. As you can see, lots of these moving averages moving up. Now, on the way back down, don't be surprised if we see some violent days here, some real volatility in the markets as it pulls back. If this thing starts to sell off and start to get hit, this thing could tumble and tumble very quickly. I'm not saying it'll make it down here at this point. I think that's pretty much off the record for all practical purposes, but I think the initial big moves, these corrective waves tend to be pretty violent, so we might start to see some of that move in tomorrow or the next day if we continue downwards. From a weekly too, only a couple days into it, but now we're back below that 1220 area so far. On the daily, look at how the VIX is holding this lower blue line. Here we go. A test, a gap up and a move down, and then a retest of this one more time, looking for that push to the upside. Let's see if the VIX spikes. Let's see if it gives us any kind of indication over the next couple days where we might get back up into this area again. I'm still watching for breaks up and over these areas and ultimately closes into those areas before I really start counting on a bigger pullback in the markets. I think the VIX will help us lead the way. Just got to be patient and wait for these breakouts, see what happens. Because as of right now, I don't care that we're up a little bit. Now for the week, we're up 4.5% on the VIX. Yay. Yay for the VIX. But it hasn't gone anywhere. There's still no real fear coming into the markets whatsoever. Apple on a 60-minute tested over 320 on a gap up today and did not hold it. Look how it was sold off very quickly all day long from the Apple standpoint. So we did get a move up and over 320. It was a gap. I will not look at that trade at that point. 320 did not hold on a retest, and we are still holding the underside of this blue line. So it is what it is right now. We'll want to watch this very cautiously going forward back below 315. Then you'll want to watch the 20-day moving average for your next line of support. Here you can see on a weekly, just nothing to talk about quite yet, only 2 days into it. FAS. Okay, got a big pullback here. Still, maybe this, I mean, everybody's going to try to count this as a 5 or whatever. I really don't care. The point being, it's still in a pullback here. Until we see these break these lower levels, there's no real big trading to be done. There was some pretty decent trading to the short side below this 25.50 area if you want to take a little bit on that. Otherwise, back below 23.50, if you want to get more aggressive, back below 24 maybe, but then 23.50, back to 23 below that, and watch these lines on your way down. From a daily, same thing here. We got back above this area. I said at any point now, this fifth wave, quote unquote, is met. So we could make 28. We didn't have to, and maybe this is the pullback now for the financials. 1, 2, 3, big triangle 4. This move up here could have been the 5. So this could be starting some sort of a corrective wave right here. We might have seen a lot of that today. It was a pretty major move here in the financials. If I take a quick look and see just exactly where they finished for the day. Let's see. Financials as a whole were down, 1.37%. So they're almost, along with basic materials, they were the biggest laggers on the day. So here you can see this might be the start of the pullback right here. Breaking below the 200 and coming right back into support, though. We'll see if that holds. FAZ means it came back up. So are we looking at, this was looking to be just a bare pullback for the time being. Once we got back above about 1080 or so, that was broke. Had some opportunities to trade to the upside, but you're going to want to watch now these 1158 and 1180 areas above it. If it continues back to the upside, that'll also coincide with the lower blue line, which I talked about, should act as overhead resistance on these. So yes, there are opportunities to trade these over the next couple days on an intraday basis. Just got to be very, very cautious about your take your profits. Once you get into the profits a little ways, don't be afraid to move up your stops to at least break even. And if you want to let the trade run, great. But don't be pigs get slaughtered, guys. Don't be greedy. If you get into it and you're like, wow, I'm very happy with what I just made, then be very happy with what you just made and call it good. Move on. No, there's absolutely no shame in doing that, especially with the markets as volatile as they are. All right, that'll do it for today's video. We'll be back with you again tomorrow, as always. Just keep in mind that what we've seen so far in just the indices is a very structured pullback. So we can't get overly zealous at this point. Yes, we are approaching a top, and yes, maybe we have put in a temporary short-term top right here. That could be it. But until we break back below these levels, there's no reason to jump to conclusions here. Let's wait and let the charts tell us which way to go. And I will be back with you again tomorrow. Bye.